Hello again, YouTube. This is Dave Mechanic. I'm back again with another video. Today I'll be changing the power steering pump on a 2004 Acura TL. This is a 3.2 V6 motor. I have the part in hand. There's just two bolts that hold it on, one here, one there, and the part we'll be changing is right here. This is the pulley, and this is the pump itself right here. First step will be to remove the belt. Second step, we remove this nut and then get off this pulley. Then we'll remove this metal line, two 10mm bolts. Then we'll remove this line, hose clamp, and then we can get the two nuts on the bottom, or the two bolts on the bottom, one here, one there, and the pump should come off. This is a good design because the reservoir is at a level that's beneath the pump, so we don't have to worry about all the fluid coming out once we get this line off. Once I get the belt off and the pulley off, I'll put a rag underneath this connection here and underneath the pump, for just in case anything comes out. Something will come out from this line here and this line here, and I'll probably get something to hold this line up, that way it doesn't fall over and drip out whatever fluid I have in there, and then we'll go from there. All right, the first thing I want to do is get this nut loose right here. I'm gonna keep the belt on there for now so I can have extra tension to help me. So one way I can get it off, first of all, it's a 19mm bolt or nut. So one way I can get this off is I'm using the vice grips with the jaws that curve outwards. I have it gently on there. I'm not putting too much pressure on it. You don't need too much pressure for side-by-side movement. And then use my 19mm and pull together, and eventually it gives pretty much. And as you can see, I had it gently on there. There's no damage whatsoever, not even a scratch. Those type of vice grips do wonders. But another way to get that off, if you don't want to use vice grips, get the biggest flathead you can find. We're changing the body, the pump anyway, so there's no reason to care about damaging it. So if you get a screwdriver and you place it through the pulley and against the body of the pump, not this top part here, but the body of the pump, then you take your 19mm and you put it on, you should be able to get force to go that way to get it off. Of course, it's already loose because I loosened it before, so, but that's another way to get it off if you don't want to put vice grips on there, if you don't have vice grips. All right, so I have my serpentine belt tool with the 14mm socket down on the tensioner pulley. This is the tensioner pulley right here. You can see it's the closest pulley next to the power steering pulley that we're taking off. So all we have to do is go from right to left, and that would loosen the belt. As you can see, it's got more slack right there, and we can go ahead and pull that belt off. Of course, since the belt is off, this would be a good time for you to check it for any wear and tear, and replace it if needed. Now with the belt off and the nut loosened, I can go ahead and get the nut all the way off. Now this method of getting this pulley off is simple. Once again, we're not saving the pump, so there's no reason to care about risk damaging the body. So you can get a flathead and you can pry behind, and if you get in there, and you should be able to pull this way and pry, and then maybe come over here and pry, and I can see it moving little by little, and eventually it will loosen up, and you'll be able to get it off. All right, so as it turns out, on this particular vehicle, in order to get this pulley off, you either have to do one of two things. Remove this top part of your motor mount, which to me would be too much just to get that off, because then you gotta put a jack under the motor and raise the motor up a little bit to get it off. But I'm just going to take the pump off with the pulley, and then take the pulley all the way off once it's off. There's one bolt right here, you can see right there, and there's another one down back here. That's the one that's hard to get to, but I have just a regular ratchet with a 13mm socket. Well, it's just a 12mm socket, and it fits right in there, and it goes on pretty easy, and I'm able to get enough torque on it to break it loose. It's broken loose now, so all I gotta do is go ahead and ratchet it on out. Since it's broken loose, I'm using my hand to just get that bolt out. The remainder is pretty loose. And it's easier to get it once you already have your pulley loose, because you can pull your pulley off a little bit and it creates a little separation and gives you just the right amount of space to get in there. Almost got it. All right, that's the first bolt. That's the one that came from the bottom. Basically, if you're looking at the pump, that's the one that came from right here. So we got that one out. Now we gotta work on this one, which is the easiest one because it's basically right there on top. All right, I got both bolts out. Now the pump is loose. I can move it up and down. It's still attached to the two lines. I'll get those off in a sec, but now that I can move it around, I can get a rag or a towel underneath it, and it makes it even better. So I'm going to go ahead and pull off the pulley now that I have the space, and get my rag set up, and then we'll go ahead and get the hoses pulled off. All right, I have my rags underneath. I have the pulley off, so I'm going to go ahead and get these two bolts off here, and then we'll get that metal line off. All right, I got that top line out. That's what it looks like. It has a little O-ring on there. Now it depends on which kind of part you bought. When I was online, I seen parts that came with this piece, and I seen parts that came without this piece. So I opted for the part with this piece for my customer. And as far as this line here, all I have to do is remove this rubber line, and I don't have to remove the plastic part at all. But if you bought the part without this piece, then you actually have to remove that 10mm bolt from the old part. So that way you can save this plastic piece. All right, I use my pliers to get the hose clamp off. You can see where it used to be, and it was a little tight, so I backed my pliers off a little bit and just softly gripped it. And if you go left and right while holding the pump, you loosen the hole that it has on the plastic piece, and then with two hands you should be able to pull it right off. All right, I got the hose off, so now my part is all the way completely free, and I can either do what I want to do it, throw it away, or core charge. I can go ahead and remove my rags now. Just do a little wiping while I'm down here with it. Okay, now this is where the pump used to be. All right, so far all I've done was put the pump in place. I haven't attached it yet or attached anything to it. There's a rubber piece on top that you have to take out. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the 2 hose lines back on, and then I'm going to bolt it back up. All right, now that I have both lines back on, I can go ahead and put this bolt on first. This is the easiest. Then I'll be able to line that bottom bolt up easier. So it's just 2 more bolts to put on, and the pump would pretty much be all the way attached to the engine. All right, going back on with the bolts are pretty much the same thing backwards. I'm able to reach this bottom bolt. It's hard to see, but I'm able to reach this bottom bolt with this 12mm socket and ratchet. All right, I got both of the bottom bolts tight. Now I can go ahead and secure my pulley by putting back on that nut. So just go ahead and get that threaded back on. All right, so I'm going back to my old trick with the vice grips. So I had the vice grips on one side. I put my 19mm wrench on the other side, and I will pull clockwise on the wrench while holding the vice grip in place, and that should get me enough snug on that nut to keep it from backing off. Once that's tight, your pump and pulley is all the way on and secure. I will go ahead and put the belt back on and add any power steering fluid if needed, and test her out and see how she runs.